Duelist Black Panther. T'Challa, King of Wakanda, wields the perfect blend of cutting-edge vibranium technology and ancestral power drawn from the Panther god Bast. The Black Panther bides his time until elegantly infiltrating enemy lines and commencing his hunt. King T'Challa of Wakanda is more than just the ruler of the most advanced civilization known to man, he also wears the mantle of the Black Panther, the sacred protector of his people. It is his sworn duty to ensure Wakanda's continued survival against any threat imaginable. T'Challa recently expanded his reign into the cosmos, creating the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. As he awaits a sign from Bast to tell him if either Doom can be trusted, he protects the Empire's chronovium supply and shares its tech with trusted allies, including Reed Richards. Silence among the stars. While he gazed out over the landscape of the intergalactic empire of Wakanda's throne world, King T'Challa paused for a moment to marvel at what his people had built. His mother had always dreamed of reaching the stars, but T'Challa and his sister Shuri, along with countless brilliant Wakandan scientists and engineers, had finally made that dream a reality. As Wakanda's influence spread across the galaxy, bringing more people and planets under their banner and their protection, the Wakandan ideal, progress and tradition intertwined, science and magic woven together, remained the pillar of the empire. T'Challa did his best to embody both sides of the nation's complex heritage, but on occasion he found the two at odds. Today, T'Challa stood in the hall of Djalia, listening for ancient voices that would not speak to him. The Orisha, the pantheon of the gods worshipped by the people of Wakanda, had fallen unusually silent, causing great concern. Even Bast, the goddess who had chosen T'Challa as her avatar, the Black Panther, seemed to be absent from this sacred place. Perhaps, T'Challa thought, they simply had nothing to say. But the king of Wakanda found that hard to believe. After all, Wakanda was at war. Another king, Victor Von Doom of Latveria, had tampered with the fabric of space and time, unleashing a chronal cascade across the countless dimensions. Even T'Challa's empire, which had been a safe haven for many for so long, wasn't immune to its effects. And now he had learned that there were two Dooms from two different timelines vying for control. Both had tried to enlist T'Challa in their battles, suggesting that Wakanda and Latveria were more alike than different. T'Challa respectfully disagreed. The king of Wakanda knew better than to trust either Doom, but he also knew the time would come where he would have to choose a side, not only to protect his empire, but all of existence as well. Wakanda could not remain neutral for much longer when so much was at stake. T'Challa had so many questions, all of which the gods and goddesses of the Orisha refused to answer. All of them, save for one. Not long ago, while praying to Bast for guidance and wisdom, T'Challa's humble pleas were instead answered by a goddess long banished from Wakanda, Bast's sister, Kilaluna, the betrayer. Her quest for vengeance against her sister had led to Kilaluna's ruins centuries ago, and her name had rarely been uttered by the people of Wakanda since, but now she had chosen to come forth and speak to T'Challa in Bast's absence, warning him of a darkness to come. A darkness that she claimed had already tainted the Orisha. T'Challa didn't know what to believe, certainly not the words of one treacherous as Kilaluna. He dared not risk allying himself with Bast's deceitful sister, in fear that the Orisha might rain their judgment down upon the entire empire for his disloyalty. But yet, something in the betrayer's words rang true. The Orisha's silence had given T'Challa cause for concern, and now that Kilaluna had sowed the seeds of doubt, it was taking all of T'Challa's willpower not to let those seeds grow wild. But the reason for Orisha's absence would have to remain a mystery for a while longer. The king of Wakanda had other more urgent matters to attend to. He had been summoned by his sister Shuri to discuss some recent developments regarding the restoration of the time stream. One crisis at a time, thought T'Challa as he took a deep breath and entered the lab. "Welcome, brother," Shuri said as T'Challa stepped into the room. All of the scientists inside, Shuri included, crossed their arms in an X across their chests as a salute to their monarch. "Sister," T'Challa responded with a smile and salute of his own. The two had not agreed on much these past weeks since the time stream began to disintegrate, but he still had a deep love for his sister and even a deeper respect for her work. "Were you off brooding in the Hall of Djalia again?" Shuri asked. "Not brooding," T'Challa said. "Waiting for guidance." "Your people are waiting for you to guide them," Shuri responded. "And I think I can help. I've been gathering data about the time stream entanglement." "Data does not always tell the whole story, sister," T'Challa said. As he spoke, he was fully aware of the irony of his statement. He was currently withholding critical data about Killaluna and her claims that the Orisha had fallen into some dark corruption. Yet he decided to keep that information under wraps for the time being, at least until he knew for sure. He did not wish to distract his sister from her efforts, nor to bring the fury of Boss down upon him. This data tells us enough, Shuri continued, fully aware that her older brother was holding something back, but she didn't have time to coax secrets out of him. There was science to be done. I have been consulting with Reed Richards and Tony Stark from the other Chronoverse on their plans for the time string reintegration device, Shuri continued, and I think we are close to a breakthrough. With your brilliant mind at their disposal, I would expect no less, T'Challa responded proudly, placing a hand gently upon his sister's shoulder, but he could sense an unusual tension in her body. He knew she was about to ask him for something, and that it was something she already knew her brother would not like. Reed and Tony have a theory, Shuri began slowly, each word carefully calculated, a theory that I believe has some merit. Say what you need, sister, T'Challa urged. Chronovium, Shuri said quietly, knowing her brother might disapprove, more specifically, Vibrano-Chronovium. Chronovium was a crystal that had begun to manifest after the time stream entanglement rippled across realities. According to the research of Wakanda's scientists, unique variations of Chronovium seem to be forming in locations of great power. In Wakanda, the crystals were infused with more than just chronal energy. They also contain power drawn directly from the vibranium star at the heart of the Empire. Richards and Stark have their own supplies, T'Challa said dismissively. Those will have to suffice. I am telling you now, brother, they will not, Shuri responded pointedly, beginning to lose her patience. The fate of the multi-universes hinged on her collaboration with the Earth's heroes. This was no time for her big brother to be his usual stubborn self. This is not just an excuse for Stark to get his hands on Wakanda's toys, Shuri continued. I have run the numbers independently, and the TRD can restore our dimension to its proper state, but it needs a power source greater than what standard Chronovium can supply. The answer is no, T'Challa said firmly. Then the question is why, Shuri said, pushing back. Whatever T'Challa was hiding from her, she wasn't about to let it bring about the end of all that is. If there was a way to get through to her brother, as there always has been in the past, she had to find it. I cannot say, T'Challa replied. Not for certain, at least. But I have reason to believe that there is a greater darkness awaiting us, Shuri. Something even the gods themselves may not be able to protect our people from. Then let us protect them together, Shuri said. For now, this is a matter I must face alone, T'Challa replied. How many times must I remind you, brother? Shuri asked. You are never alone, and neither are we. Wakanda is no longer an isolationist nation. We are a galactic force. If we wish for this empire to stand, we must begin to act as such and lead by example. That starts by sharing our resources with those in need. We still know too little about the power of Vibrano-Chronovium, T'Challa said, softening slightly. We cannot risk it falling into other hands, even trusted ones, until we do. But, Shuri interjected, but, T'Challa continued, you have my permission to further your research on these crystals in hopes that we can safely unlock their secrets in order to pass them along. And until then? Shuri asked. Until then, I offer our allies unlimited access to Wakanda's greatest resource, T'Challa said. You. Shuri wanted to scream in frustration at her brother, but instead she bit her tongue and took the compliment. After all, coming from T'Challa, those were almost as rare as the heart-shaped herbs. As T'Challa left the lab, Shuri let out a sigh of frustration, knowing how much work she had ahead of her. But the king himself breathed a sigh of relief, knowing the fate of the Empire was in good hands, at least for the moment. With Shuri busy researching chronal crystals and engineering universal solutions, T'Challa could turn his full attention to the largest threat looming on the horizon. Even the pair of dueling dooms would have to wait until he could identify and locate the great source of darkness of which he had been warned. But how? T'Challa dared not reach out to Killaluna for answers. Totems of Boss were everywhere in the Empire, even if she was not eager to answer his prayers. The Panther goddess was surely listening to his every word, and she would not take kindly to his betrayal. Wakanda needed the Black Panther now more than ever, so T'Challa could not risk being stripped of his mantle or the power that came with it. The king walked with purpose across the center of his city, burning T'Challa back toward the Hall of Djalia. As he passed by, he paused at a panther statue, placing his hand gently upon its head. Where are you, boss? T'Challa said out loud as he gazed into the eyes of the vibranium sculpture. I am here, a voice replied. The statue began to glow with the purple energy of Djalia, the Wakanda spirit plane. T'Challa instantly knew that it was Boss speaking to him, but there was a tone in her voice he had never heard before. Something sinister. "I have been waiting for you, my champion, in the shadows." "I am at your service," T'Challa said, knowing deep within that his words were not fully true. Yet he knew that he must continue to feign devotion to the tainted goddess until he discovered the truth about her current state. "And you have served me well," Boss replied, her words dripping with darkness, "but you are not the only king in black that I have come to favor." As Boss spoke, the sky began to grow dim. Instinctively, T'Challa looked up toward the Hall of Dajjal to see tendrils of ebony energy ensnaring its sacred spire. He didn't know if this was yet another side effect of the time stream entanglement, or if it was the first signs of the dark presence that of which Kilaluna alluded. But T'Challa knew he had no time to waste either way. The fate of the Empire depended upon his immediate action. The Black Panther sprung forward, racing into the Hall of Dajjal. T'Challa did not know what awaited him within, but he did not fear it. Not even the gods themselves could prevent him from protecting his people in their time of need. Even in the face of the greatest threats the universe had ever known, there was only one thing to which T'Challa would pledge his loyalty. Not Doom, not even Boss, just Wakanda. Forever. Dimensional shortcut. Within Limbo's depths, magic's power and duty have pulled her to many needs across the timelines. In her quest to gather her scattered mutant brethren, she encountered the king of an intergalactic empire where a lost soul was recovering from imprisonment. Magic's mastery of warping space piqued both of their interests, whether in advancing Wakanda technology or helping the Ronin free her fellow prisoners. Faced with this choice, she summoned both to Limbo, for a queen is only as strong as the counsel she keeps. "Sumimasan, Ileana, I didn't mean to attack your bodyguards. I was just surprised by these yokai. I mean, the inhabitants of Limbo."